Discover the amazing truth. My daughter-in-law kicked me out with my 2-year-old. My son was alive. Frank stood on the cracked pavement, holding little Emily's hand, his heart heavy with loss. Just months ago, life had been filled with laughter and warmth. Now, he faced the piercing cold of an unforgiving reality. The loss of his son had smashed the once tight bonds of family, and now the woman he thought he could rely on, the woman he watched marry his boy, had kicked him and his precious granddaughter out, leaving them standing alone on the streets of their small town. He could still hear Sarah's words echo in his mind. "You're just a reminder of what we've lost." Her face, once illuminated by love, now twisted in despair, had snuffed out the air between them. Frank felt Emily squeeze his hand tightly, her tiny fingers full of hope. Despite a world crumbling around them, she giggled, blissfully unaware of the heartbreak gripping her grandfather's heart. As night fell, Frank roamed the empty streets, feeling the weight of every stare. Neighbors who once smiled over barbecues and block parties now cast sidelong glances, judging him for his misfortune. Perhaps it was the vet hats he wore, or the fact that he was wandering around town with a toddler. He pushed the pain away, believing they couldn't possibly understand. Frank prided himself on being the backbone of his family, but that foundation felt shaky now. Just as devastating was the fact that Emily needed someone to keep her warm, both physically and emotionally. When the winter storm rolled in, the air went from crisp to biting. Frank had a sense of urgency in his gut. They needed shelter. He led Emily to the old church. It felt like 1,000 whispers of bygone summers brushed against him as he descended the basement stairs. Inside, laughter floated through the air as other families huddled together for warmth. He felt a brush of community envelop him in that basement, almost like a quilt stitching their pain together. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Frank felt the warmth of the church community seep into him, yet unease nagged at him. Each smile exchanged came with a flicker of judgment, a silent reminder that their lives had changed. What would they think of him, an old soldier without a home? He felt haunting echoes of his son follow him through the corridors of memory, dim memories of family dinners, now tainted with sadness. Just as Frank's resolve began to crumble, he spotted a faded envelope tucked behind an old hymn book, the very book he and his son had read, taking turns when times were good. Inside was a letter in his son's handwriting, stirring hope against the prevailing darkness. It urged Sarah to seek help rather than isolate herself in grief. Those words, filled with sincerity, ignited a flame within Frank's heart. Could this be the bridge to mend the brokenness between him and Sarah? But would she even receive it? Frank's chest tightened. This moment was a spark, one lighter than the shadows surrounding them. Would he dare step closer to her, toward possible reconciliation? As he turned the letter over in his hands, all he could imagine was whether their shared pain would bring them closer, or whether judgment would chase them deeper into despair. Frank stared at the letter, feeling a tight band of uncertainty wrap around his heart. His hands trembled slightly as he thought of what it would mean to reach out to Sarah. Could he truly face her after everything that had happened? The thought chilled him. But the warmth of little Emily's giggle nearby pushed him to muster some courage. He watched her playfully spin in circles, her laughter echoing against the church's old brick walls. She was a bright light amidst his despair, a beacon of pure innocence. If only he could figure out a way to shield her from this darkness. By reaching out to Sarah, perhaps the three of them could find their way back to the love they once shared. Collecting his thoughts, Frank folded the letter and tucked it into his jacket pocket. He would confront Sarah, but first he needed a plan. Finding a way to accommodate Emily while maintaining dignity would be his top priority. The basement gave them refuge now, but it wouldn't sustain them long term. He needed to show Emily that even in bleak moments, hope could blossom again. As he bent down to pull Emily into his arms, the soft sound of a woman's voice penetrated his thoughts. "Can I help you?" It was a lady from the congregation he hadn't seen before, her warmth radiating as bright as the candlelight illuminating the basement. Her name, he learned, was Mary, and she carried a kind smile that made Frank feel less alone. We just need a little help," he replied, a lump forming in his throat. "My son passed, and his wife," he inhaled deeply, blinking back tears. "She kicked us out. I can't put things back together, but I'd like to try, for Emily." Mary's eyes softened as she knelt next to Emily, who smiled back and reached out to touch her hair. "You're not alone, Frank. Our community is here for you. We share our burdens," she whispered, and it felt like a lifeline thrown into a turbulent sea. With Mary's help, they prepared a makeshift bed for the night. As the storm howled outside, the laughter and chatter of families in the basement brought some comfort. Frank felt a flicker of hope that perhaps he wouldn't have to face everything alone. The next day, he mustered the courage to visit Sarah. He held the letter tightly, its weight feeling both reassuring and intimidating. Each step toward her home felt like a mile, but he reminded himself of the love they had shared and the importance of family. "I owe it to Emily," he whispered to himself. When he approached the threshold, his heart raced. He took a deep breath and knocked. The door creaked open slowly, revealing Sarah's haunted eyes. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, a mix of sorrow and unresolved love hanging in the air. "Frank?" she finally said, her voice catching in her throat. He opened his mouth, but wasn't sure what to say. Would they still be able to find a way back to each other, or was it already too late? Just as he opened the letter, revealing its crumpled ink, he wondered if this would be exactly what he needed to say, or the final blow to all hope. The tension in the air was palpable, and in that moment, silence enveloped them both. What would Sarah do next? Would she embrace the chance to heal, or would she shut the door on reconnection entirely? Frank's heart pounded as he stood at Sarah's doorway, the crumpled letter cradled tightly in his fingers. The silence was heavy, pressing down on him like a weight he could barely bear. He struggled to find words that would bridge the chasm between them, words that could soothe old wounds and whisper hope into the void that had grown so deep. "Sarah," he finally managed, his voice barely a whisper. Her name rolled off his tongue like a prayer, uncertain yet desperate. He took a small step forward, his hand instinctively reaching out, as if to pull her close, though they were still an ocean apart. She flinched slightly at the sound of his voice, a flicker of something, maybe fear or anger, crossing her features. "What are you doing here, Frank?" she replied, her tone defensive but laced with an undercurrent of emotion that gave him just a shred of hope. "I came to talk about Emily, about us." He paused, fighting the rising swell of emotion that threatened to drown him. "I know things have been complicated, but I believe we can fix this. We owe it to our little girl." His gaze fell briefly to the floor, recalling the warmth of Emily's laughter and the fear of losing their chance as a family. Sarah's expression shifted, uncertainty mixing with pain. "Fix what, Frank?" she asked, her voice trembling. "You think it's that simple? You left us. You turned away." "We both made mistakes," he urged, desperate to bridge the divide. "I can't change the past, but I want to be here for you both." Sarah's expression shifted, uncertainty mixing with pain. "Fix what, Frank?" she asked, her voice trembling. "You think it's that simple? You left us. You turned away." "We both made mistakes," he urged, desperate to bridge the divide. "I can't change the past, but I want to be here for you both." Sarah's expression shifted, uncertainty mixing with pain. "Fix what, Frank?" she asked, her voice trembling. "You think it's that simple? You left us. You turned away." "We both made mistakes," he urged, desperate to bridge the divide. "I can't change the past, but I want to be here for you both. I want to try." Her breath hitched, and for a brief moment, Frank thought he saw a glimmer of the old Sarah, the one who loved fiercely and dreamed bigger than their small town. But then that light dimmed, and her walls went back up. "Frank, I can't do this right now," she said firmly, stepping back as if the very air between them was charged with a painful static. "You don't just come back into my life after everything. You don't know how hard it's been." He felt the heat rise in his chest, not from anger, but from empathy. "I'm here now, though. I want to help. I want to shoulder some of that burden. Please." Her eyes searched his, as if trying to decipher the truth from the emotion flooding his words. "What if I can't forgive you?" she blurted out, her voice cracking. "What if I can't trust you again?" Frank's heart sank. He had been asking her to take a leap of faith, but he knew his own past spoke more loudly than his promises. "I understand," he replied softly. "But what if we take it slow, one step at a time, for Emily's sake?" Silence hung thick once more, stretching like a rubber band about to snap. The tension in the air was almost unbearable, but through it he found courage. He pulled the letter from his jacket pocket and held it out toward her. "This is for you, Sarah," he said, his voice steady yet filled with vulnerability. "It's my heart on a page, telling you how deeply I care and how much I want to make this right." Sarah glanced at the letter, then back at him. He saw the fight and the tenderness waging a silent war in her eyes. Would she take the leap? Would she open her heart again? Their eyes locked, the world outside fading away. Frank felt the pulse of hope igniting within him. "Please, let's not let our love become another casualty of our pain." He waited, breathless, as she reached for the letter. Would this be the moment of transformation they both needed, or would it drive them further apart? The moment Sarah's fingers brushed against the letter, 1,000 memories surged forward, intense and vivid. The laughter, the whispers, the dreams they once shared danced in her mind like ghosts, taunting her. She hesitated, suspended in a memory-infused bubble where everything felt within reach yet impossibly distant. What if by opening this I'm just letting in more pain, she thought, anxiety knotting her stomach. Frank stood there, his expression a fragile mix of hope and fear, as if the slightest wrong move would shatter whatever fragile connection they were rebuilding. "Just open it, Sarah," he urged, his voice breaking her reverie. "It might help. It's my truth, my apology." His eyes softened, even as they glistened with unshed tears. In that moment, she saw the man she had fallen in love with, the man who had held her in the rain and promised her the world. But time had eroded those promises, leaving scars she couldn't ignore. Taking a deep breath, Sarah reluctantly took the letter. The paper felt alien in her hands, yet she could also sense the warmth of Frank's heart hidden within its folds. She unfolded it slowly, each crease whispering stories of longing and regret. As her eyes skimmed the words, she could feel the tension in the air, thick and electric. "I'm so sorry for everything. I know I can't take back the pain I caused," the letter read. Her breath hitched at the raw vulnerability, the emotional unraveling packed into her hands. "I was so lost, Sarah. I want to be a better father, a better partner. Let me earn ya trust again," it continued. A hot tear slipped down her cheek, surprising her. It wasn't anger or hurt that overwhelmed her, but a deep well of longing for the man she thought was lost forever. "Frank," she whispered, unsure if she could bear to confront the depths of her own desires. Could she truly forgive him? What if by reopening this door, she placed her heart at risk once more? He stepped closer, closing the distance between them, desperate to connect. I've been working on myself. I've seen what I threw away. I don't want to keep running from my responsibilities. Not anymore. The sincerity in his voice pulled at the frayed edges of her heart. But the memories of his betrayal whispered in her ear. Could she risk Emily's happiness just for a chance to rekindle something that had once been beautiful but had turned to ashes? I don't know if I can, she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. It's not just about us anymore. It's about Emily. Frank nodded, understanding flashing across his face. I want to be part of her life. I want to show you both how much I care. You don't have to decide everything now. But before he could say more, Emily's laughter rang out from the backyard, innocent and carefree, pulling them both back to reality. Sarah blinked, embracing the moment like a lifeline. Emily was their future, yet standing here felt like being on the edge of a cliff, one push away from falling. Maybe we can take it one step at a time, Sarah replied slowly, her heart pounding as she considered the possibility. But it won't be easy. Trust isn't given freely, Frank. A flicker of hope ignited in his eyes, a tiny spark in a stormy weather. I'm willing to put in the work, he vowed, stepping back as if to give her space. For you, for Emily. She nodded, but doubts clung to her thoughts like shadows. As she turned to watch Emily play, a shiver of uncertainty washed over her. Did she truly want to open her heart again, knowing it could lead to heartache? Can you promise me you'll show up every day? Tumbled out, laden with the gravity of her request. I promise, Sarah, he murmured, his voice unwavering. Yet deep down, a question loomed larger than any promise. Would he really be able to keep it? As silence enveloped them once more, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were both standing on the precipice, but the question remained, would they leap together or tumble apart? The afternoon sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the yard where Emily laughed and chased after butterflies. In that moment, Sarah felt the pull of her daughter's joy, a sweet reminder of what she wanted for them both, a little bit of happiness, a little bit of love. But Frank's presence felt heavy, like a rain cloud threatening to burst. She turned to face him, weighing her options like stones in a scale. What does this mean for us? The words slipped out, trembling against her resolve. Frank shifted, his own uncertainty painted across his features. I know we're broken, but maybe we can start to stitch things back together. Just give me a chance to prove I can be the man you remember. His sincerity radiated, yet so did the risk of getting hurt. Proving who you are and what you can be doesn't erase what's happened, she reminded him, the protective mother in her surfacing. You were supposed to be there, Frank, for me, for Emily. I know that, and I wish I could take it all back. If I could. Before he could finish, Emily ran up, her cheeks flushed with excitement, grasping a dandelion as if it were the most precious item in the world. Look, Mommy, it's a flower. She held it up triumphantly, unaware of the storm brewing between her parents. It's beautiful, sweetheart, Sarah replied, forcing a smile that felt too tight. She glanced back at Frank, their eyes meeting in a tension thick enough to slice with a knife. Do you really want to be a part of her life again? Sarah asked, wanting to see if he meant every word. Yes, I do, he said, voice firm. I want to be there for both of you, to support you, make up for lost time. I want to see Emily grow. The promise echoed with earnestness, but heartbreak lingered underneath it. Could he truly mean it, or was this another empty promise? Sarah felt the old wounds start to throb, and she braced herself against them. All right, let's take this slow, she said, testing the waters of possibility. But it's going to be hard. The last time you were here, I was left to pick up the pieces alone. Frank nodded solemnly, guilt flashing across his face. I understand. Let me show you I'm different, that I've changed. I won't let you down again, Sarah." A fragile thread of hope wove through her heart, but doubt tangled around it tightly. Would he really be able to keep that promise? Emily clutched the dandelion tighter, clearly loving the moment. "Can we play, Daddy?" she chirped, looking up with bright eyes that brimmed with trust. Frank's heart visibly melted at the sight, a glimpse of the man Sarah wished he would be. "Absolutely," he said, his smile breaking through the weight of their conversation. He crouched down to meet Emily's level, and for a moment the world felt a little brighter. As they played, Sarah watched. It was bittersweet, watching Emily find joy in the midst of brokenness. It reminded her that there was still innocence to protect, something pure to hold on to. Yet, as Frank tossed Emily in the air, sheer elation on the girl's face, Sarah felt herself constricting again. Would this last? Was this the start of a new chapter, or just another fleeting moment? The day wore on, sun setting slowly, shadows stretching longer. She could feel the weight of her own heart. She needed answers, clarity. "Can we talk later?" Frank asked as they caught their breath. "Just you and me?" He was asking her to open up even more, to peel back the layers of hurt and hope. Sarah hesitated. Did she have the strength to dig deeper into what they were rebuilding? Or would she let the past keep her from forging a new path? With uncertainty hanging thick, she nodded. "Yeah, later." But as she turned to help Emily pick out a few more dandelions, a nagging feeling ticked in her heart. What if tonight brought more questions than answers? What if the shadows of their past were too tangled to ever truly overcome? The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Sarah could feel the warmth fade, but her heart beat with a mix of hope and apprehension. As she knelt beside Emily, watching her daughter gather dandelions, Sarah's thoughts spiraled. Would tonight be the night they finally confront their past? "Mommy, look! I made a bouquet!" Emily beamed, holding a handful of weeds with pride. The innocent joy radiating from her daughter was both uplifting and painful. Sarah had tried to create a world of happiness for Emily, yet the weight of Frank's return pulled at her heart, threatening to overshadow the light. "It's beautiful, sweetheart, just like you," she said, wrapping her arms around Emily. The comfort of that embrace felt warm, yet it reminded her of how fragile their happiness truly was. Just then, Frank walked over, hoping to join the moment. "Wow, Emily, that's quite the collection," he said, kneeling next to them. His face lit up with genuine admiration. For a fleeting moment, anything felt possible, but the reality of their situation loomed large in Sarah's mind. She studied Frank's smile, trying to reconcile the man before her with the one who had left her in pieces. He seemed committed now, but what if it was just a facade? "Can we keep this flower, Mommy?" Emily asked, clutching a particularly vibrant dandelion. "Of course, babe. We can press it and keep it forever," Sarah replied, forcing her voice to stay light, but the heaviness in her stomach betrayed her. "Just like us, right?" Frank said, his voice laced with a hint of longing. "We can press our memories together and make them beautiful." The metaphor hung between them, punctuated by silence. Could they really reshape their past? Frank's gaze searched hers for an answer, and Sarah's heart raced. Did she even want to try to forge something new? "Emily, why don't you go inside and wash your hands? I want to talk to Daddy for a minute," she said softly, nudging her daughter toward the door. "Okay, Mommy." Emily skipped away, leaving Sarah and Frank on the cusp of a raw conversation. Frank looked at her, the joy from earlier replaced by something deeper and more complex. "Sarah, I need you to know. I'm not that man anymore. I hate who I was, and I promise I've changed. I want to be part of your lives, not just a ghost from the past." The sincerity of his words struck a chord in her heart, and yet doubt warred within her. "Do you really believe that? If you want to be in our lives, then it can't just be words. You have to show it. I can't let Emily down. I won't let her down." "Then let me try. Let me show you that I can be dependable and caring. I need the chance to make my wrongs right," he urged, conviction burning in his eyes. "Promises don't heal wounds," she whispered, feeling a lump in her throat. "What if I let you back in and you break our hearts again?" "I don't want to break anything, Sarah," his voice softened. "I want to build something with you and Emily together." Those words felt like both a lifeline and a haunting echo of past failures. Could relationships truly evolve, or were they always destined to repeat history? They sat in silence, a fragile truth settling between them. The setting sun cast a warm glow that felt both comforting and unsettling. "Can we take it step by step? I need time, Frank. I want to believe you." "Time, yes. We'll do it however you want. Just don't lose faith in us," he replied, eyes hopeful. As they spoke, the air around them thick with possibility, Emily dashed back outside, her hands wet and her smile bright, breaking the tension. "I'm ready to play again, Daddy." In that moment, Sarah understood that the road ahead wouldn't be easy. There was a flicker of hope, but a deep-seated fear lurked just beneath the surface. What if Emily's world was about to change forever? Taking a deep breath, Sarah forced a smile. "All right, let's make this moment count." As they moved to join Emily, a voice inside her whispered that this might only be the beginning of a much bigger journey. But as she looked at Frank, she wondered, would this new path lead them to healing or deeper wounds? The air was filled with laughter as Emily pulled Frank toward the brightly colored playground set in their backyard. Sarah watched them, a careful smile plastered on her face, but her heart was anything but light. "Mommy, watch me!" Emily climbed up the slide with pure determination. Frank cheered her on, and she beamed at the attention, relishing every moment like it was a precious treasure. Sarah's chest tightened as she forced herself to enjoy the scene. She couldn't shake the feeling that Frank's presence, no matter how joyful, was still a fragile thing. With every laugh and cheer, there was a risk of devastation lurking behind it. Memories of past heartaches threatened to seep through the cracks of their seemingly happy facade. "Look at her go," Frank said, turning to Sarah with a broad smile. It was infectious, yet Sarah fought back the urge to withdraw. She needed to remind herself that this was all new. She had built a life without him, and she had to protect that. "Yeah," she responded, her voice wavering slightly. "She's really thriving, isn't she?" Frank nodded, eyes glistening with pride. "She deserves all the happiness in the world, Sarah. I want to be a part of it. I want to make up for lost time." "Words," she murmured, feeling the weight of their conversation press down again. "Words don't make up for those years you were gone." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I can show you. Just give me time, please." Time. It felt like both a blessing and a potential curse. She was tired of the uncertainty, tired of the what-ifs. She needed to feel secure, to believe they could actually build something this time. Emily squealed as she zoomed down the slide, her laughter echoing through the yard. The sun dipped lower, casting a golden hue over everything, the shadows beginning to stretch long and thin. "Mommy, look!" Emily shouted, hands extended as she jumped from the slide. "I can fly!" "You're a little superhero," Sarah laughed, her heart lightening just a touch. "And just like that, she saves the day," Frank added, grinning widely. There was something about his voice. Maybe it was laced with longing, filled with hope, or just a simple desire to reconnect. Yet, in the midst of this family scene, Sarah felt her own internal superhero flickering, battling against doubt. She couldn't ignore the past. It was part of who she was now. "Can we talk about things for a second? After Emily's done playing, I mean," she suggested, vulnerability creeping into her voice. "Of course. What do you want to talk about?" He looked at her, concern etched on his face. "Just about us, about the future. If we're going to try again, we have to be honest. No more secrets or avoiding difficult topics, she said, forcing herself to make eye contact. He nodded, his brow furrowing. I want that too. Whatever it takes. We need to face things head on if we stand a chance. Before Sarah could respond, Emily came bounding toward them, arms outstretched again. Mommy, Daddy, can we have ice cream, please? That wide-eyed enthusiasm was contagious. Sarah found herself smiling. Maybe they could build something beautiful. Maybe it was worth the risk. All right, little superhero, ice cream it is, Sarah declared. But as they turned towards the house, another thought struck her. What if Frank wasn't the only one who needed redemption? As they walked arm in arm, the road ahead was still blurry. With every step, the feeling that everything could easily unravel at any moment clawed at her insides. Little Emily danced ahead, blissfully unaware of the heaviness weaving through her parents' hearts. But at that moment, Sarah made a silent vow. She would fight for this family. Little did she know, the real test was still to come. Would Frank truly change? And what would that mean for the past they shared? Just as they reached the kitchen door, Sarah heard a noise behind them, a familiar but unexpected sound, a voice that sent chills down her spine. Frank, you didn't tell them about me, did you? Sarah turned slowly, and an icy fear seeped into her veins. Who was this person, and what did they want? Sarah's heart raced as she turned to face the voice. Standing there was a woman, her arms crossed and a smirk on her face. She looked familiar, yet out of place, like an unsettling shadow in their perfect family moment. Who are you? Sarah demanded, trying to keep her voice steady. Behind her, Emily paused, sensing the shift in the air, uncertainty clouding her innocent face. The woman took a step forward, her confidence radiating. You really don't remember me. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Frank always preferred to keep his secrets buried. Frank, who is she? The panic in Sarah's voice peaked. She shot a glance at Frank, whose expression shifted from joy to something much darker. Sarah, he started, his eyes wide with disbelief as he turned to the woman. Lila, why are you here? Surprise. I thought it was time I reintroduced myself, especially since I heard you've been playing house with Sarah here, Lila said. Right, because you can just erase the past? Lila shot back, her voice laden with venom. She looked at Emily, her expression shifting slightly. Who's the little one? Your new life? Don't you dare talk to her like that, Sarah jumped in, stepping protectively in front of Emily. Why? Because she's so innocent? Sweet little Emily has no idea that her daddy has a history he forgot to mention, Lila taunted, a twisted smile creeping across her lips. Enough, Frank barked, anger flooding his voice. You need to leave. This is not your place anymore. Not my place. I can say what I want. I still have a right to be here, Frank, Leela retorted, her eyes flashing with accusation. What do you mean? Sarah felt her stomach churn, a knot of confusion and dread tightening within her. The ground felt unsteady beneath her, and the laughter of her daughter now faded into the background, distant and echoing like a memory. Maybe it's time you knew that he wasn't just absent because he was busy building a new life. There's a lot you don't know, Sarah, about us, Leela said, her voice lowering, almost conspiratorial. Frank held up a hand, desperation in his eyes as he stepped closer to Sarah. Stay away from her. We can handle this. His voice broke, and it cut through the tension like a knife. I didn't want you to find out like this. Didn't want me to find out? You should have thought of that before you brought me back into your life. You don't get to pick and choose what part of your life you want me to accept, Leela replied, the smile gone now. Emily, still watching quietly, tugged at Sarah's pant leg, her eyes darting between the adults. Mommy, what's wrong? Nothing, honey. Just give us a minute, Sarah replied, though her heart felt heavy. She kneeled to Emily's level, forcing a reassuring smile. "Can you go inside and pick out a story for us to read? I promise I'll be right there," she added, masking her own uncertainty. Emily looked from her mom to Frank and back again, but nodded, her small feet taking her inside, the wooden door clicking shut behind her. As Sarah stood back up, Frank's face reflected a storm of emotions: fear, regret, anger. She pointed an accusatory finger at Leela. "Why are you doing this? What do you want from him? From us?" Leela's expression turned smug. "What I want? Oh, Sarah, you'll find out soon enough. But just know, some ties are harder to break than you think." With that, she turned and walked away, leaving a lingering tension heavy in the air like a heavy fog. Sarah's breath quickened, confusion swirling inside her as she turned back to Frank, searching for answers in his eyes. What was that all about? Frank's gaze fell, and in that silence, Sarah felt the tension swell again. The past didn't just fade away, did it? Would they truly be able to build a future? As the shadows grew longer outside, Sarah realized they might have just stumbled onto a deeper truth, one that could topple the fragile balance they were trying to restore. And she was left grappling with the question that hung in the air. What other secrets lay buried between them? Frank ran a hand through his hair, his eyes filled with regret as he stared at the ground. "I never wanted you to find out like this, not when things were finally getting better for us." "Better?" Sarah's voice cracked.
"You call this better? You've been keeping secrets, and now that woman is back. What happened between you two?" Frank looked as though he was trying to gather the scattered pieces of his thoughts. "Leela, she was a part of my life before you, before Emily. She had a hold on me that I didn't know how to get away from." His voice was shaky, the raw honesty of his confession hanging heavy between them. Sarah's heart felt like a stone in her chest. "What do you mean, a hold?" She took a step closer, desperately wanting answers. "What kind of hold could make you keep her existence from me, from Emily?" Frank's hands fisted at his sides. "I made mistakes, Sarah. Leela was part of my life during a rough time. We were young and reckless, and I was scared. When I tried to break free, she wouldn't let go." "Scared?" Sarah repeated, her voice rising. "You should have been scared of what your silence would do to us. What more could she have on you that you felt you had to hide it?" The tears pooled in her eyes, a confusion of anguish and betrayal swirling around her. "You don't understand," he pleaded, desperation pouring from his words. "Leela was my first love, and we fell apart badly. I thought it was over. I thought I could start fresh without looking back." "Start fresh?" Sarah laughed bitterly, wiping away the tears rolling down her cheeks. "You've built a new life while leaving me in the dark? What happens when she decides she wants something from you again? What happens to Emily?" "Nothing," Frank rushed to assure her, desperation igniting in his eyes. "I promise you, it's over. I thought she was out of my life for good, until today." The adrenaline racing through Sarah's body left her exhausted. She struggled to comprehend what was happening. Feelings of love, betrayal, and protective instinct for Emily flooded her senses. And what did she mean by "some ties are harder to break"? She crossed her arms tightly over her chest, her body instinctively reaching for a shield against the storm brewing between them. "I don't know, Sarah. I don't want to think about it." Frank's voice faltered, and he turned his gaze away. "Please, trust me. You have to trust me." "Trust you?" she gasped, the words feeling heavy as they left her lips. "You've lied to me about your past. You've expected me to just accept this new life without question? Frank!" It was like she was grappling with quicksand, and each word threatened to pull her under deeper into turmoil. The silence grew between them, each lost in their thoughts. Sarah felt as if the walls were closing in. She wished the tranquility of their family life was more than a startling illusion, but now cracks radiated out from the pressure. Just then, the door creaked open, and little Emily peeked out. "Mommy?" Sarah forced a smile, feeling like a mask was tightening around her features. "Yes, sweetheart?" Are we still going to read? Emily asked, her innocence shining through the tension. Of course we are. Sarah knelt down and took a deep breath to steady herself. Come here, let's find a story. She held out her arms, embracing the moment for her daughter. Seeing Emily in her small, hopeful state, Frank saw the light in the girl that he wanted to protect. His voice was softer now. We will figure this out, Sarah. I will fix this. But even as the words left his lips, uncertainty hung between them like a shadow refusing to fade. A storm was brewing on the horizon. And deep down, Sarah felt an unsettling fear knot in her stomach. What if Leela wasn't finished with them yet? What if this was only the beginning? The tension in the air was palpable as Sarah and Frank held on to Emily's small hands, the warmth radiating from her innocence a sharp contrast to the storm brewing in their hearts. The shadows crept in as dusk began to settle, wrapping their home in uncertainty. Let's sit down and read, okay? Sarah suggested, her voice tinged with forced cheerfulness. She led them to the living room, her heart pounding. She needed to create a space that felt safe for Emily, even if the adult world outside was crumbling. As they settled on the couch, Emily snuggled between them, clutching a storybook with her small fingers. Sarah forced a smile as she opened the first page, but her mind spun with worry. How could she keep Emily safe from the troubles that seemed eager to seep into their lives again? Once upon a time, Sarah began reading, her voice gentle as she immersed herself into the story, the rhythm of her words trying to drown out the chaos in her mind. With every line, Emily laughed, her giggles filling their small living room like sweet music. But as she looked at Frank, Sarah felt a knot tighten. Those giggles masked a reality that hinted darkness could return at any moment. The book soon came to an end. Emily clapped her hands excitedly. Again, Mommy, can we read again? Of course, sweetheart, Sarah said, her heart wavering between happiness and exhaustion. She reached for another book, trying to ignore Frank's presence. Each time he shifted beside her, she felt an overwhelming pressure press against her chest. Sarah, Frank spoke softly, breaking her out of the story. Can we talk now, just for a minute? She hesitated, searching his eyes for any glimmer of the man she once loved. Emotions swirled in her mind like a chaotic tempest, but she nodded, hoping that confronting their uncertainties would clear the clouds in her heart. They moved to the kitchen where Frank leaned against the countertop, tension crackling between them. Look, he started, I know Leela stirred up a lot of emotions. I never wanted you to feel betrayed. I thought I could handle it. Handle it, Sarah echoed, her voice rising. You thought hiding it would make it disappear? Frank, I'm meant to protect Emily. I can't let someone like Lila come in and disrupt our lives. Frank ran a hand through his hair, his expression stricken. I should have told you, and I can promise you she has no power over me anymore, but I know it's my fault that you're hurt. Sarah swallowed hard, the weight of his confession sinking in. I'm just terrified. You've built this life with us, and I want to believe you can keep us safe, but how do I reconcile what she has dragged back into our lives? I don't want her here, I promise you that, but we need to prepare ourselves. She may try to disrupt our peace again. It might get harder before it gets better. Sarah nodded slowly, her heart aching. I want to believe you, I really do. But if she tries to come between us, I won't sit by. Emily deserves to be shielded from all of this. I don't want her here, I promise you that. But we need to prepare ourselves. She may try to disrupt our peace again. It might get harder before it gets better. Sarah nodded slowly, her heart aching. I want to believe you, I really do. But if she tries to come between us, I won't sit by. Emily deserves to be shielded from all of this.
Then we face her together, Frank declared, determination lighting his eyes. I will not let her take away what we are trying to build, whatever it takes. I choose you, Sarah. I choose Emily. In that moment, Sarah felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Perhaps they could face the past together. Perhaps they could rewrite their story. As she turned to leave, the door creaked open yet again, and Emily peeked in. "Mommy, can we make ice cream now?" "Sure, sweetheart," Sarah beamed, happy to step back into simplicity, if even just for a moment. As they moved to the kitchen, mixing sprinkles and chocolate, laughter bubbled up around them. Emily was filled with joy, and for the first time since Lila's appearance, Sarah began to feel the weight lift just a little. "See?" Frank said as he joined in mixing. "This is what matters. Us. We'll always make space for Emily. Just don't let your past steal this from us, Frank," Sarah cautioned, her voice soft but firm. "I promise," he replied, unwavering resolve in his tone. As they worked together, creating something sweet from the ingredients of their lives, Sarah felt a comfort returning faintly, threading through the chaotic energy still lingering in the back of her mind. Later, as they sat on the porch, ice cream cones in hand, laughter mingling in the air, Sarah fostered a sense of unity growing in their little family. They were stitching together a new reality, one filled with sweetness and healing, even if the whispers of the past still threatened to sneak in. In that moment, she knew they were still standing on the precipice, but maybe, just maybe, they could take that leap together. As her eyes sparkled with hope, she smiled at Emily, then back at Frank. "Here's to new beginnings," she said. "In the face of any storm," Frank replied, squeezing her hand. But deep in her heart, she wondered, could they withstand whatever came next? As night fell, shadows lengthened, and the stars peeked down, casting their light over a family slowly finding its way back to each other. Together, they would face whatever challenges came their way, determined to protect their love, united in hope. It was a beginning, quite possibly the beginning they needed all along. Before any of this slipped away, Sarah felt compelled. She turned to the camera, capturing their moment of warmth and resolution. Do you resonate with this journey of healing? Do you understand how important it is to face your past and fight for your family? I need you to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting our channel through these actions.